So it is absolutely freezing in my room right now, hence why I'm dressed up wearing my very comfortable / warm hat. Or I should say, bear hat in my room because it's very cold. In Seattle, or I should say the state of Washington, that's a very common thing. It's freezing here most of the time. But I want to talk about a topic that I haven't discussed here. I'm going to be making a video more in-depth on this topic of depression. But right now I want to focus on something that just really pisses me off. And I already know in advance making this video that I'm going to get worked up, so you're going to have to apologize me getting worked up. But it has to do with other people. If you've been through any traumatic things in your life, whether it's been sexual assault, physical abuse, substance abuse, eating disorders, you have diagnosed depression. If you went through any of those things, or you still have those things and you are still going through the experience and the pain and the emotional struggle or whatever it is through those things, then this video is probably going to speak to you. Because I'm absolutely sick and tired of people coming up to me, or when they see scars on my arm, they say that they understand what I've been through. Now, given and granted, there are people who can understand the positions I've been in my own personal life in the past. But in most cases, most people who tell you or me that they understand are a fucking moron. They're stupid. They're idiots. They're ignorant. And do you know why? Because that's the same person who says to you or me, "Oh, you have an eating disorder? You have an eating disorder. Well, maybe you should just eat more. If you eat more, you won't have an eating disorder." Or, "You're depressed? That's just a fad. Or that's just a phase. You're depressed. Well, how about you just stop being sad and instead be happy?" Do you really think it's that easy? Do you really think that being diagnosed with depression, I have clinical depression, is something that I just wake up and I just choose to be depressed? Hell no! I don't know about you, but depression is in fact a medically diagnosed thing. You have no idea. Don't tell me you understand when I wake up. And most people wouldn't know this because I don't act like this, even if you were to meet me in real life. I wake up with this empty hole inside me that I just can't fill. I feel hopeless. I feel discouraged. And then you have these idiots who say, "Well, you're just sad." No, there's a big difference between sadness and depression. Do you know how many idiots in our society today use the word depression? The English language is going to shit. It really is, because, "Oh, I didn't get a video game the other day. I'm depressed." "Oh, I didn't get my clothes I wanted. I'm depressed." "Oh, I didn't get in my college class. I'm depressed." No, you're not. You are not depressed. You don't even know what depression means. You have never even researched depression. If you honestly think that you not getting Black Ops 2 yesterday is somehow making you depressed, you're wrong. Because depression is not a freaking choice. It's not a choice. Sadness, see that's the fundamental difference between sadness and depression. Sadness usually is a temporary thing based on a situational event. So, someone close to you dies. You're sad. You're going through emotional pain. You're crying. You're sad because of that. You're sad that you failed your test. You're sad for something. You're sad that you had a breakup. But no, you're not medically depressed. It pisses me off when so many people throw around the word depressed when they're not. When they're not. And you know they're not just by watching the things they do and the things they say. It shows you how ignorant people are of these issues that don't get talked about very much. Whether it be suicide, suicide, self-harm, anorexia, eating disorders, depression, anxiety, whatever it is, you have idiots who have never actually went through these types of situations or things in their life, and they come to you telling you that they understand what you're going through. If there's one thing more insulting, if there's one thing that offends me more, it's when someone like that comes to me and says they understand where I've been and the things that I've went through when they haven't went through jack shit in their own life. And the reason I can say they haven't went through jack shit is based upon their response to me. Any person saying that, oh, you should just stop being depressed, or you should just stop having an eating disorder, or you should stop feeling anxiety, any person saying that is one of these people who has never went through anything difficult in their life in terms of depression, self-harm, substance abuse, addictions, suicide. That's how you know. And it infuriates me and really works me up when someone can tell me what I've been through and how they know what I've been feeling or what I'm going through in my life. You know, it's one, if they came to me and says, Daniel, I don't know what you're feeling, or Daniel, I don't know what you've been through, or Daniel, I don't know what it's like to be sexually assaulted or try to commit suicide, but I can sympathize, or is it sympathize or empathize? I'm dyslexic, I can't even think of which one's the right context. But someone's saying that I don't know how you feel, but I can understand why you may feel the way you do, rather than I understand how you're feeling. That's the difference. So yeah, if you're one of those people who just say you should just stop with your eating disorder, then you have no comprehension of those issues, of those heavy issues which don't even get talked about. It amazes me because so many people, if you were to meet me in real life, a lot of people have, you would not know that I used to do self-harm unless I rolled up my sleeve. You would not know that I attempted suicide twice, one in which I nearly did die and I actually fainted and passed out. Thankfully my parents found me. And number 3, you wouldn't know that I have an anxiety disorder which as a result of the sexual assault that happened at age 16. And fourthly, you wouldn't know that I have depression, which all resulted from that one experience in my life at age 16. You would not know that. Because I know how to interact with people to where they're not going to say, oh, you must have an anxiety disorder, or you must be depressed. Most people would never even know that about me, unless I told them. So for someone to see scars on my arms and say, oh, I know what you've been through. No, you haven't. So please, shut up. Don't tell me what I've been through in my life when you don't know anything about me. Don't tell me that you understand when you've never went through similar situations, because rather you're just going to show how ignorant you are when you say, oh, you should just stop being depressed. It's not that simple. You know, I attended last week to write Love on Her Arms. It was a conference on how to talk to people and how to counsel people who've went through depression, anxiety, eating disorders, suicide, and on and on and on. Heavy issues which do not get talked about enough. And I think one of the reasons they don't get talked about enough is because there's so much ignorance on people thinking that depression, that anxiety, that an eating disorder is simply a fucking choice. It's not. There's so many motivational factors that determine why someone self-harms, that determines why someone has an anxiety disorder, that determines why someone may or may not have depression. You know, one of the biggest reasons self-harm happens, why people burn themselves, I have on my arm, and I'm not going to show it off camera because I've done it once, I have the word fail, fuck, stupid, reject, lies, betrayal, idiot, stupid, all written and carved into my flesh on my arm. The reason I did that was not because I was seeking attention. The reason I did that is because I was going through such emotional and physical pain that I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't feel as if I could trust anybody. I was fearful of being humiliated if I was to open up about what happened to me. So I used self-harm as a healing mechanism to release the emotional turmoil that I was going through at that time in my life. And the little thing that I didn't realize is that when you self-harm, it only reinforces the cycle of self-blame that you go through. That's what self-harm does. It may feel temporarily satisfactory to release your emotions and your pain, but you're only reinforcing the idea that whatever happened to you was your fault when it was not. There's so many reasons for why self-harm, suicide, depression, and anxiety and eating disorders exist. It's not just a choice that someone chooses. And until you realize that what you say can show how stupid you are about a real subject or a heavy subject that needs to be talked about more often, don't you dare speak to me. I don't know what else to say. I know I'm worked up. It just really annoys me and it really infuriates me when people tell you that they know your life and they know what you've been through. So with that said, thank you for watching. Again, I apologize for getting worked up. It's just, I'm really passionate about these subjects, and when I see people who don't take the time to even look into them or try to understand and say ignorant shit like, oh, you should just stop with your eating disorder, it makes me mad. So with that said, I'm Mr. Repzion, Daniel Sulzbach here on YouTube. Peace out.